All right. Hey, Kyle. I'm glad to have you here.
Hi, Cassandra. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So I thought it'd be cool to, get to know you a little bit better. And I've got some questions so we can just run through them. And we'll just
Love
jump
it.
in. All right,
Let's do
cool.
it. Let's do it.
So, where are you from and where do you currently reside?
So I am from Phoenix, Arizona, and I am still here.
Oh,
I didn't go very far.
oh, that's good though. That's cool. Okay, awesome. So I hear that you're in real estate. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got started in real estate?
Yeah, so I actually started in real estate about 16 years ago.
Nice.
I'm an agent now. I was an agent back then. It was okay. 16 years ago, I bought the first house. It was what it was basically hacking all a house hack, right? Like
Oh,
you hear on Bigger Pockets. So I basically bought the house. I was single back then, rented out the rooms to all my friends, and we had the pool table. We had a great time. It was awesome. Um, and I was super happy at that time, and
yeah.
so that. And I was already in love with real estate, which is
Okay.
kind of a little bit weird and different from like how young I was. But I fell in love with real estate early on. But that was the first purchase I did about 16 years ago. And then since then, just slowly started investing like old school way, just getting enough for a down payment and a primary residence and then renting it out and moving on.
Okay.
But so yeah, I mean that's how I got into it, and
Okay.
mostly just reading books and just getting excited about. I'm a very pro future and growth, personal growth.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that ties into the next question that I had then too. So who's taught you the most about, your top performing strategy in real estate?
Ooh, good question. Who's taught me the most? My top performing strategy right now is still flipping. We flip about 15 to 20 homes a year.
Okay.
Where did I learn the most? I would say actually Ryan Pineda.
Okay.
He has a book, Flip Your Future.
Yeah.
Um, I knew about flipping. I kind of had started it a little bit before, but man, when I read his little book, it was awesome. It just sometimes things just line up
Yeah.
right when you need it, and what I needed at that time was how to underwrite those things like so much better,
Oh
and
yeah.
light bulb went off. So
Okay.
um, I went to an event later, one of his, so I met him and everything, and he's a really cool guy.
Okay, cool. Shout
Real
out to
chill.
Ryan. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I know going through real estate, there's ups and downs.
Hmm.
What was one of your failures or an apparent failure that actually ended up setting you up for success later? So I guess I call it your
Ooh.
favorite failure. What was your favorite
My
failure?
favorite failure. So, because I have a lot of failures, I know we all try to keep them to a minimum, but
Yeah.
obviously, it's always failures are always that point of growth,
Yeah.
right? So I have had a lot. I would say early on. So we actually do creative investing now, but I would say 16 years ago.
Yeah.
No, let me backtrack. Let's say 2011.
Okay.
Okay, so not that long. I
Yeah.
mean, it was a while, but 2011, I actually tried to get into creative financing with
Oh.
0% down. I hired a mentor, and I learned a lot about the contracts and all that. And I was never able to get a deal. I
Oh.
tried really hard. I did a bunch of mailers. I did all sorts of things, but that cost. And I think my mentor was like $5,000 at the time. Yeah, that was everything I had. Like I put all my money into it.
Yeah.
So, and I failed epically. I didn't buy a single thing,
Yeah.
and my wife was super supportive. But
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, at the end of the day, like it didn't work for me at the time.
Yeah.
And so I would say that that was a at I look at it, I'm like, okay, I technically failed, right? I invested money and I lost all that money. Um, but I will tell you, hands down, that has paid dividends
Ah.
um, to help me get where I am today.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay, so in your day-to-day, right, in real estate,
Mhm.
what's your favorite part and what's your least favorite part?
Okay, day to day, I think my favorite part and least favorite part. My favorite part, I love making money. Making money, and I want, and this is a newer thing too for me, is relationships.
Okay.
So for most of my 16 years, I have been investing solo,
Uh-huh.
and um things have gone decently well.
Yeah.
However, I feel the urge. I'm like, man, I want to have my best friends me
Absolutely.
with me, right? I want to have, or in other words, I want my business partners to be my best friends, right? And
Yeah.
etc. So I think what I have realized is the most important part is relationships. So I look forward to, hey, going, I want to go out to the lunches and the activities, right? And all the stuff with the people that I know that I have a
Yeah.
relationship with. So that's my favorite part. Um, the second part, my least favorite,
Yeah.
I would say my least favorite is some of the busy work, right? There's always busy work to some degree, and you're always trying to, like, you know, shoot it off to somebody else, right? Delegation.
Yeah.
But that would be my sometimes we all, it doesn't matter what stage you're at, there's always, it finds you.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay. So I guess with that, what goals are you pursuing right now in your business?
Okay. Goals. My goals right now have shifted some. So our flipping business, instead of doing 15 to 20, our original goal was like, before the market correction, I wanted to do 30 or 40, right? I wanted to double our house flips, on top of adding more rentals and
Yeah.
Airbnbs and all of that, right? So, but my current goals, so that's changed, right? My current goals are different now. So I've pulled back and I said, okay, I want to do like kind of probably 10 to 15 flips, going forward for at least a temporary period.
Uh-huh.
And then I want to do, we're buying more creative deals, right? So basically, like I said, 16 years ago, got into it, right? But then about a year ago, um, joined Sub 2, right? I haven't
Yeah.
actually even met Pace Morby in person, but I already knew that creative financing was a strategy that I needed to use a lot more in this time. So my goal was to dramatically up our creative purchases. So by the end of the year, our goal right now is to buy 10 more creative finance houses by the end of the year. Keep our flips to the 10 to 15 that I was sharing,
Mhm.
and then um, our other goal is expansion of our
Oh,
our team. So specifically of our team. So I right now I have like a virtual assistant and a manager for the assistant, and then me, and so we did have a videographer that we hired at one point, but we will be hiring more in-house people as part of the
okay.
goals.
Okay, so it sounds like, yeah, with the goals, there comes a lot of ramping up and things like that. So, in an effort to maintain your focus and have mental health, what are some things that you've, I guess, been able to say no to?
Ooh, well, great question. Great question. Things I say no to. Unfortunately, I've had to say no more to some older friends, right? With
Yeah,
some of the things, it's just not, you can't just go out and have fun all the time,
yeah,
right? And this one might sound a little bit weird, but like sometimes certain things with my family,
yeah,
right? Because like I do it for the family, but
yeah,
obviously if you have an endless amount of time, right? Like you would always do more and
yeah,
at different times. So it's like it was very important to me that I've had to block out schedule and all of that. So it's like, hey, no, I can't do that during this time period, and
yeah.
saying no to that. But what that has allowed us to do is say yes at the right time.
Yeah. No, that's critical too. I've been looking more into just where we're at. We're so busy in the world right now, and it's always something I feel pulling for our attention. So I found, talking to different ones about focus, and things like that, because that does ultimately help us scale and grow. It's just unfortunate because the power is saying no sometimes. So it's tough to do. You don't want to hurt people's feelings and things like that, but
Hmm.
I've seen it countless times where people are then able to kind of scale and stuff. So I just kind of admire it. I love to find out more about, what are you saying no to that's helped
Yep.
you, you know?
Yep. Oh, you definitely have to. And I think the only thing I'd add to that, I guess, would be sometimes what you're investing in, right? Like they in investments, they talk about the shiny object syndrome of, are you going to go buy creative, and if so, is it sub 2, etc. Creative finance, are you doing flips, are you doing whatever? And so I think especially early on, do that. But also even now, wherever I'm at, I'm like, okay, I let me don't do 5 different areas all at once of expansion, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I like to look, retrospectively sometimes, just in life, right? So let's say, you're talking to, a recent college grad, they're fresh out of school. What's something that I guess is What's something that you tell them that you wish you knew that would have saved you a lot of time, energy, and money?
I would say, however much you think it takes more.
Oh,
Okay. I like it almost does, it doesn't matter how much you think it takes. I have learned that almost what is my answer even today, right? For
yeah.
me to get where I need to go, the answer is it's going to take more, right? More
Mhm.
dedication, more saying no to the wrong, right? To the wrong things and saying yes to the right things. And it just takes more. You don't realize like, and I needed to change to become that person. So I would tell them, I would say, you are going to have to change and it's going to take more of you
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's good. Okay, so now going into the future, right? You're building your
Okay.
dream house, and I'm just jumping.
Oh, it's
You're
gorgeous. Yes.
you're building your dream house. What are three must-haves in your dream house?
Ooh. Okay. So if the house was in my actual dream, it would have a slide. Okay. But let's go with
You don't
my
know
dream
that's a
house.
reality. I've seen those
I know.
homes.
I know. And how cool is that, right? Like,
Yeah.
so my dream house, I'm probably a little bit different than most people. I mean, I think everyone's materialistic almost to a certain degree, right? And I am materialistic, but sometimes it's also just the vibe or what it gets you, right?
Yeah.
It's as not as much as the necessarily always the material item. So for example, when I said slide, it's I want my house to be kind of fun too,
Yeah.
right? I don't want
Yeah.
it to be necessarily sterile and it's like, hey, come over, we're so rigid, right? It's kind of like, hey, I want fun things. So
Yeah.
my dream home does have, okay, a sports court in the backyard. So me and the
Nice.
kids, right, doing all the different activities, right? Yeah, like I said slide, but it's funny because it's kind of like, yeah, I'd want the slide, but obviously I'd want it hidden because I don't want to stare at a slide all the time,
Only if
But I
it's a
want
nice one though, going into the pool though. I mean, that's like I think that's
okay.
solid.
I know you're gonna be sending me all the extra information I need to know to put that together. But yeah, how cool, right?
Yeah.
Like how fun would it be to have all that stuff? So I think dream house. I do want a decently sized house.
Okay.
My
You're
wife
thinking what?
sometimes does it.
55, 6,000 square feet?
Woo, yeah, so I would be fine with 55 to 6,000. Anything more than that, I don't think I necessarily need. But if
Okay.
it got bigger, I don't know. If I had the need for it, though,
Yeah.
does that make sense?
Yeah.
My wife already, like, if I tell her too big, she's like, we don't, who needs that, whatever. It's like, oh, it's not about needing,
Because
right?
she's thinking of maintenance.
I
She's like,
know, I
we gotta
know. She's
maintain
like,
this house.
I ain't cleaning that. And I tell her, I'm like, hey, but at that point, right, life's different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you use it for different things. Like I look up to people that do have certain setups in their home and stuff, right? Where I'm like, okay, how cool would it be to have a meeting place where people
Oh
could come.
yeah.
And so if you had a big room, that could be square feet in your house,
Yeah.
but like you could fit a large amount of people where you could really connect and mingle and stuff, right? So
Yeah.
it really depends what your goals are.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, yeah. So now not to get back on the materialistic things,
Okay,
right?
that's
But
okay. I'm that
let,
way. So.
let's say, because I know people love to always, hear about how are you hacking something or what's the thing that made your life most convenient. So if you could pick any product under $100 that you currently have,
Ooh.
that has impacted your life the most, what would it be? And I'm sure people would love to hear about this because we're all looking for the next thing that we're going to get on Amazon and put
Right.
in our cart.
No kidding. Hack under $100. Okay. Interesting. I mean, let me see. What's funny is I mentioned this to you right before.
Yeah.
This isn't my answer, but so I just bought, one of these Rode things,
Oh
to put the
yeah.
microphone on there, right? For these type of podcasts and
Yeah.
everything. So like I think this was like $120,
Okay.
so it's like not that crazy expensive,
Yeah.
but
No.
I think it's gonna really up the quality. And probably like then I don't have to have this big old thing on my head. Which is I
Okay.
love it because it sounds so good. But this I think would be nice. So I think depending on what you're doing, I think that what would be the next best thing for $100
Yeah. Or
that
less.
or ooh, okay. Okay. Um Man, what do I? If I this is what's so funny. I buy things on Amazon all the time, and I swear it's kind of like people talk about Target and Costco.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you don't leave that page without spending like 3, 4, 500
Right. Yeah, yeah,
bucks,
for sure. Yeah.
right? Um, Let me think real quick. I will for $100. I think, one of the things I like. I'm really big into technology.
Okay. Yeah.
And technology gets expensive really quick, right? But something for way less than $100, if you're not already like set up on Apple and all that stuff. I'm an Android user,
Yeah.
but big
Same here.
Google proponent. But so I got Google Homes and all sorts of stuff everywhere in my house.
Yeah.
But I would say that like the Chromecast ability was huge
Oh,
for me because
yeah.
I got a TV up in here because I like to turn the Suns game or whatever on while I'm
Yeah.
working and doing everything. But like even just educating myself, boom, cast it up off of my phone or off of the computer onto it. So
Yeah.
I think you can grab one of those Chromecast and like
Yeah.
you can do all sorts of stuff. So I think that was a pretty cool
Okay.
hack. Even if it's getting slightly older now, but that's all
Yeah.
right.
No. Yeah. It doesn't go out of style. It's definitely beneficial to be able to do that. I love casting stuff too. You just feel like you're like, yeah, I'm gonna put this up for everybody that walks in this room to see.
Yeah. When I think
um,
about business, we just talked about that extra room that I would love to have to mingle. Think about if you put some TVs or a big screen up there, and it's like
yeah.
boom, cast. Like how blessed life we what a blessed time that we live in, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. We don't really want for anything. So
Mm,
yeah, very fortunate times. Okay, so let's say we're wrapping it up, but do you
okay.
have a favorite quote that you kind of comes to mind?
Hmm. I would say if a quote would be more of really my dad always telling us it was always remember who you are,
Hmm.
right? And where you
Yeah,
came from,
yeah.
right? Every day he would, tell us
He's
that.
keeping guys humble. He's like, yeah, let's
Keep
get this.
keeping us humble, but
Yeah,
trying to keep us out of mischief, I think. Like you come from our family.
yeah. You're representing your family when you walk out of this house, so just
So
remember that.
I remember that. It's like I find myself telling my kids and in business, personal, it doesn't really matter what it is. I'll
Yeah,
reflect back and tell myself that,
yeah,
hey, just remember who you are.
yeah.
I got to represent not just my parents, but my family, my wife, my kids. That's who we're doing it all for, right?
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Okay, now with this interview, I guess you can call it.
Mhm.
Was there a question that stood out to you that you were like, "Oh, that's a pretty good question"?
Man, you had some great questions. I did like what do you say no to? I thought that was an
Oh yeah,
excellent question because we almost always never think on the other side,
yeah,
right? Because you could almost ask, but by asking the question a different way, it makes you think a little different.
yeah,
So I actually did really like that because I have found in my life I I, I need to do that and I do it
yeah,
more. I sit back and I go, hey, what bad habits do I still have? Right, that
yeah,
I need to nix to become Kyle 2.0.
yeah. No, that's awesome. Okay, so I just like to know, so I know, what can I do to improve and whatnot. But okay, so let's how can people work with you, and what kind of value can they add to you?
Okay. Um, well, if people want to work with me, well, one, I'm always an open book. So people can always feel free to reach out to me, connect with me, right? But if people want to work with me, there's several different ways. Because one, we are always buying. So
Okay,
one, if somebody has a deal, right, they can let me know about the deal, and I could be your direct buyer. If I'm not, I can connect you with other buyers
nice.
because we do buy a lot, and that could be a cash deal, like a fix and flip, right? Because we
Mhm.
do those. It could be
Yeah,
anything on the creative with seller financing and stuff too. So really, any deal they have, they could work with me. Two, it could be a private money lender, right? We already do work with other private money lenders, and so where they get a constant kind of return on their money without having to be as active, right?
okay,
So both of those are probably the easiest way, and then honestly, just building relationship with me. I tell
nice.
people, reach out, let's become friends. I was just on a call last night meeting somebody new, on the computer again. And it's phenomenal. To me that brings value. So I would say
Yeah.
that's how someone could reach out and kind of work with me.
Okay. And where do you want them to go? Do you want them to go to your Instagram? Is that probably the best method of
Yeah,
contact?
so I would say, yeah, the at the Kyle Karges is me on Instagram. Okay, pretty much the same thing on TikTok. We do post, 2 short form videos every single day on there.
Nice.
They can find me as well on YouTube. That would just be, youtube.com/ at Kyle Karges
Okay.
without the. But
Okay.
so they can find me in all those places, and just a DM is awesome. I check those
You're
all.
a DM away. Awesome. I love it.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, that's everything, Kyle. Thanks again for your time today.
This was absolutely fantastic, Cassandra. Thank you so much for inviting me. This was great.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay. Well, I'll talk to you later.
All right. See ya.
All right.